Hello folks, I'm L.A. Little and this is your daily TA Wrap. We take a look at these markets and we do it from a neoclassical perspective each night, asking ourselves what happened today and what might it tell us about tomorrow. You know, I do this show 4 times a week. I do it every Monday through Thursday, live at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, here from the base of the beautiful Rocky Mountains, where I'm told we're going to snow again tonight. It's been a nice wet winter, which is good for the rivers here, and actually will be good for the rivers that flow south and west. So rain is always needed, or at least the water is. Today the markets, they were mixed. They were banging away at the highs again, but you know, by the end of the day they gave up most of it. The Nasdaq in particular, it's run a long way. NDX pretty stretched, pretty hard to move it up. Apple is, you know, hovering around 530. It's just not a lot moving there. The one thing it keeps moving, I was just looking at the quotes here, is the semis. I mean, they've been on a run and they continue to be on a run, up another % a day. And it looks to me like what you're starting to get more and more is a lot of rotation. So you're rotating into financials, as we've talked about the last probably 2-3 shows now. I think we talked about it last week actually. You know, the energy market, the financial market's a big piece of it. XLI is at new highs again. XLB has already broken out and stretching. These are all positives, right? And when money doesn't want to move out of the market, what it typically does is it moves around inside the market, and we continue to see that in a lot of places. IYT also was oversold. Bonds still pressuring to the downside. You know, they've been selling off. They continue to sell off, pushing rates back north. And yeah, we'll look at that bond market here in a second. But you know, tomorrow's the big number, employment. Today you had Draghi and you had the ECB and the BOE, and BOE really didn't do anything. The ECB was expected to, but didn't. And when they didn't, it did cause a little bit of a hiccup, but it didn't take long for this market to power back higher. We had the Dow's up 16,422 roughly. The S&Ps were up 3 1/4. They are up as high as 18. Where's my high? Oh, here it is, 1881. They closed at 87, so down 4 off the highs. It was a positive day though. You had listed issues up, you had the NDX and the Nasdaq down a little bit, and the Russell was almost flat. Oil was up a little bit today. Gold was up about $10, down $1 after hours. Silver was up as well. The dollar was down again, another 0.5%. Because the euro was quite a bit stronger today on a result of no easing in the European zone. Draghi made a big deal about the fact that the euro strengthening is a lot of what the quote-unquote deflationary pressures are in Europe. Of course, you know, if he'd get on the bandwagon and really ease up, he wouldn't have that problem, would he? That's what everybody else is doing. you make your currency cheap enough to where everything looks cheap, or everything, I guess, starts to look expensive. Everything else sees you as cheap. Let's go to the actual charts here, and we'll start with the S&P. So let's take a look at this, because tomorrow's going to be a big day. You know, I think the expectations are pretty much in that this market isn't going to well, not this market, the numbers that come out tomorrow, the employment numbers, are not going to be good. That's clearly what the expectation is at this point. We have an ABCD structure here that is just about completed. Probably goes up just a little bit more, so we may see that first thing in the morning, right? Top out up there, get over that number. The bigger structure that's in place is from here, right? And that measures quite a bit higher to the upside. So we've got nested ABCD structures. I wouldn't be surprised that you get up here, right? This did a retest. It regenerated higher. Remember, we were talking about a retest regen. It came down, tested all the way to the bottom of that zone, and then flipped around. Big day up. That was the Monday scare of Russia. Then Tuesday, turnaround Tuesday. A little doji, right? A lot of people talking about a doji. Okay, that's the high. Well, no, it makes another high again tonight. And so it's pressing on up there. And, you know, it wouldn't surprise me to see it get up and finish off this ABCD. And then maybe take that pause that everybody keeps looking for off this high. So let me see. That number is, let's get a number on it, 1824.5 to 67. So it's 24 is 42.5 roughly. That would be 70, 76. It's already there. So it's already done it. So it's already finished it off. So the ABCD structure inside here is already done. And so I guess my drawings, you know, not exactly right, but this little structure is done as of today. Matter of fact, it finished it off. So that little structure is done. So whether we get a bump up or not, we'll have to see, because at least this is telling us that you know, that projection is met. Now the bigger one, of course, is still out there. Let's see what the other indexes look like. So there's really, you know, lighter volume. You're going up. You're getting tired. All that kind of stuff going on here. It looks pretty much the same, probably on these others. The Russell. Now the Russell had already stretched up big. Russell had a huge move. IWM had a huge volume as well. This one's just hanging there at the highs. Let's go over to the Nasdaq and the NDX, since these are the guys that actually couldn't get any stretch. So they actually made new highs, a little less volume, back underneath. I don't know, that doesn't really tell me anything differently, just that they're stretched. I mean, this has been a kind of a non-stop move, folks, on the NDX and on the Nasdaq. The composite, it was straight up, right, angle-wise, straight up. Then you got a little bit of a pullback here, and then you kind of started doing this sideways, more sustainable type move. The ABCD structure that's in place here, of course, measures quite a bit higher as well. I don't see anything wrong with what it did today. It's just tired. Let's see about the NDX. NDX should be even more tired, since it made an even more pronounced move. And volume's a little bit lighter here as well. You know, it all comes down to what the numbers are tomorrow. So I don't think any of these are telling us anything. Now the Dow actually tried to get higher. Let's see if it actually closed higher. 16,419. Yeah, it did. A little less volume over the highs. Let me see, the big bar still is a little bit higher. So 16,495. 16,450. One of the things I talked about, I don't know, it was probably, you know, a few days back, was that if you pull the Dow back, and actually let me pull it back and put it on a weekly, and you look back last year, there was about 3 occurrences where, you know, the rest of the market was moving higher and the Dow was struggling, and the Dow barely made some new highs here, came back down, and then the Dow made the run up, and as soon as it clipped that high, right, on an intraday basis actually, and maybe it was over the high, and no, it didn't, it was just on an intraday basis. As soon as it clipped the high there, that thing sold off hard. At this same time, if we go over, and this is, we're talking about July, August, and then September. So if we go back over to, let's just take the S&Ps, which is very close to the Dow in terms of what's in it, you can see that same period here, but it's a very different view of what was happening. You had the pullback, right, goes to the new highs, breaks over it. You get a pullback, it goes up, and this one actually, you can see it turned over, so it actually traded over that high, right? And the Dow, as soon as it got up there, then everything sold off. Well, the point of bringing this up again is the Dow's the laggard. The Dow is the only one that hasn't gotten to the highs yet. And I suspect that when we get there, you know, that would be an ideal place for this market to try to pull back. If I look at that high, now you got two swing point highs here, so it may be just slightly different in that you make it to these swing point highs, and that's when you get the rest elsewhere. If we look at those guys, they're right up there at 16,540 or at 440. You could hit that tomorrow, 100 points. That might be the extent of the move before we get some sort of a pullback. Again, all of these have larger ABCD structures in place, so that pullback is probably going to be some sort of an opportunity to buy again before these things finish out whatever this move is. But that certainly looks like an ideal place for the Dow to get up to, maybe get right to the high, right, and then pull back, and the rest of the market finally takes a break. Let's go look at sectors. We already saw the IYT was leading in terms of the sectors. So let's pop in here. So if I go to the IYT, it was trying to make it to the high. It looks like it finally did. 135.93, 135.88. No, not quite. Going to probably try to hit it tomorrow. Now, notice here, all your sectors are coming back to the highs. As I was talking about earlier, you know, there's rotation. They're rotating out of the out of the stronger ones into the weaker ones, looking for something, right? The money doesn't want to leave the market, so it wants to find something that gives a little bit better risk reward. Well, the best way to do that is go find the laggards and go get in them. And that's exactly what's happening here. Right? So the IYT is not like all of a sudden transports are better. It's all of a sudden transports are quote unquote cheaper, right, comparatively. And that's what money does in a bull market. It doesn't want to leave, and so it just simply goes somewhere else. Semis, they just keep powering higher. Nothing's stopping these guys. They didn't have any volume today, and it's just a big ABCD structure up. XLB, this one's still powered by the fact that it's an all-time high breakout. Running out of juice up here, but has extended, and it's done what it should have done in that, you know, these breaks were breaks on the weeklies and the monthlies, and you should extend off of that, and that's exactly what this guy did. XLE. Now this is another group that I would expect they're going to try to rotate to. You still got a pretty good volume high there attacking the prior high. Looks to me like that's going to go back up there and try to get over it. So XLE still, you know, consolidating there, wanting to go to the new highs. The one that made the new highs was the XLF. This broke on a weekly and a daily now. If it holds on the weekly, I would expect the XLF tries to push higher still. And so if the XLE kicks in and the XLF is already kicking, right, that's the sort of thing that can keep this market grinding higher despite everything extending as it has. XLI was already at new highs, continues to extend. That was multiple swing point highs that broke here. That should lead to 2 to 3 bars on this time frame, which it has, and should lead to 2 to 3 bars on the weekly, which it's trying to do now. Let's get it back up here, XLI, and put it on a weekly. And oh, we never got a swing point high up there, so it's only on the daily, never registered. Yeah, so that's getting a good extension off of it. That one maybe is about done. It's got its 2 to 3 bars already. XLK had consolidated, then climbed. Boy, these look tired, don't they? Little dojis at the top. They can't get anything going. You know, anything large. It's not bad. It's just that they're tired. I mean, they've made a big run. They're trying to work it off, and they won't even work it off in terms of sideways. They keep grinding higher. Here's the XLY doing the same thing. They all still look good. Yeah, low volume. Yeah, extended. Yeah, everything. Can they go higher? Yeah, they can. I mean, you know, I can just look at this one off the bat, and I can see that's another ABCD structure on the way up, right? Inside the larger one, that's still going on, right? Which probably gets you almost to the same price point. You know, you'd have to do the numbers, but they're not that far apart. So this one keeps grinding higher, and all of them kind of set up the same way. Let's look at the TLT. I want to go over to the Ox markets because this guy sold off again, and I believe that puts him in the lower range. Yeah, so remember last night it was trying to hold up here. You know, we kind of had two areas that this thing was holding. You know, you kind of got these two zones it's been in, and it was trying to hold on to the top zone. Well, it gave it up, right? Gave it up big. That says it's probably going to try to make it to the bottom of that. If this wants to go down, right, that says that they think, quote unquote, money's going to get easier, right? And so that kind of says that employment number is going to be bad. It's not going to be good. So wait. TLT going down. Bonds are selling off. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm tired here. I think that's right. I guess one of you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a long day. Actually, it's been a long week. A lot of issues this week with everything. Okay, so bonds are pulling back. Looks like they're going to try to come back down here and test the lower end of this guy is the big news. Let me see what gold did, because gold was up again. Did gold actually get anything into it? No, there's no volume. So it's testing that high, got no volume. Tomorrow's Friday, 130.59. Yeah, I probably will test it tomorrow, but unless the volume really picks up, I don't know. You know, it's been grinding higher, but unless the volume picks up, I don't see how it keeps it up there. Silver, I mean, because the higher you get, unless you really get some juice, you know, it gets harder and harder to keep climbing. Yeah, and this one fell again. So I just don't think these metals are ready to go yet. They've got to work off. You know, they've had a big move. They've got to work off this move to the side, right? They got to work this off a little bit longer and then try to make their move, because they're in a long-term pattern on the downside right now. Let me go look at the dollar. Oh wow! So the volume's pressing at the lows. Let's see what the weekly looks like. Yeah, they're going to test those lows again. And if you're wanting to be long the dollar, this is not a good scene. So as the dollar gets cheaper, that helps gold. So we may see, well, what does the monthly look like? It's 2111, 2107. Yeah, even if it's already broken the swing point low here. Even if it breaks this next swing point low, looking at the monthly, it's going to have a hard time getting more than another percent lower. So maybe another 1% or so here on the downside. That's an ugly chart though. And that is what keeps helping commodities, right? Selling off the dollar helps commodities. Let's see, does that put the euro back at the highs? It does. That is 136.71. Yeah, it's right there. It's over. So, and that's a big breakout on the euro. That's on the weekly. Let's look at the daily. Yeah, big spike up back to the highs. So this not much volume, but it's over the highs again. This I guess is, you know, I didn't think gold could do it, but that is what's putting the juice back in here. So if that dollar starts to crumble, we get another percent down, gold probably makes another high. Even though it's really struggling to get up there, you know, a devaluing dollar certainly helps the metals, or it certainly should help the metals. Last year it didn't, but this time it looks like it is. Let's see here. The Dow has a third swing point at 16,588. Let's go back to the Dow. There's a comment over here. Yeah, it does. There's another one up there. So you got 3 swing points at the highs. Yeah, well, that would, if it gets over them all, that's a heck of a run, and that would definitely propel it up to the ABCD structures. But I got a sneaky feeling that, given the way this market's, just grinding higher, we're probably going to set up some sort of a move like we saw, on this bar here off the Russian scare, where, they just kind of shake the trees again. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that when we get up to these highs. It's the last one to get up there, all right? Okay, let's see here. Does anybody have any questions? Let me pop in here and see if there's any questions for me. Let me take a second while I have a minute here. We've made some changes on the site. In particular, there's these forums now. Everyone has access to this, whether you're a member or not. You can come in here. I see there's a post here tonight. We really haven't talked about this much, but I believe pretty much everything's working at this point on it. So, this is a place for you, both as subscribers, as registered members on the site, as just visitors on the site, to interact with members, to interact with other visitors and other registered subscribers to all the services, and get advice, answer questions, give feedback, whatever you want to do with it. We can create more items, but this is a great place for you to exchange information. There are some monitors on these boards. These guys will help you out if nobody answers. I certainly try to read this myself. It's a mechanism to get things up here that can stick around and that the whole community can benefit by. But of course, nobody's going to benefit unless people use it, unless they find it valuable. It's a fairly easy interface. It's very easy to pop in here. You can get to whatever it is. You can read whatever it is. You have all these different things you can do with it. I'm a moderator, so I have more buttons than you will. But you can essentially come in here and you can see what's going on, and you can make comments back. You can suggest stocks that you see, right? Because 20 eyes out there versus my 2 is a lot better than just my 2. So all that stuff is available to you, and it's a great, I think, will be a great vehicle for us to exchange information amongst ourselves and have all of us trade better. So it's up here at the forums. Just click on forums. You can get to it. Okay, let's see here. USO. Let's see what USO looks like. Last question maybe here before I have to go. So this is the all proxy, the ETF. That looks like a reversal. And so there's a lot of things when you see something like this, right? If in fact, we just talked about the dollar. We just talked about the dollar helping commodities. Well, this is definitely a commodity, right? So you come down here, you test this. There was a little gap up. You close the gap up, right? You test into it. What you also did at this point is you're doing the retest and regen off this prior high, right? So it's a retest, regen off the prior high. Volume there wasn't much, but the volume you want to look at is the volume on the breakout. That volume on the breakout is greater, right? You did 4.7 million. You come back into it with just a little less than 3. So you trade into the breakout area. You don't have, the sellers essentially walk away and the thing bounces right back the other way. Well, what should that do? That should take it right back up there and try to test into this area, right? It's the high off that big bar you see there. It's kind of a wide price spread bar. This bar, if I can get the right symbol, that bar. And then, of course, the top. That little zone in there is where this thing wants to try to probably trade back to and test. If it gets into that zone, well, it's going to test that high again, which is this big bar. You left volume at the highs, right? And we're talking about relative volume to everything else in that area. You have volume at the highs, you're probably going to go back up there before it's over with. So if this flips around and actually heads higher, there's trades. What are the trades? Well, there's a lot of vehicles you could trade. One of them is XLE itself. I've got some videos on OIH. There's a bunch of oil services stocks. Oil services stocks breaking out, have been doing really well. We've been getting a bunch of trading signals on them in our trading signals. If you remember, you'd be able to get to this, the trading signals. This gives you signals every day, and I don't think there's been a day for the past 2 weeks that we haven't seen signals in the oil services sector. A bunch of good potential trades in that sector. You also can just do stuff with oil itself. There's the I'm trying to think of the symbols. What are the symbols here? The 2-to-1s. What is that? Here, maybe I can find them right quick. My mind went blank. Let's see if I have them on my screen. Oh, I'm thinking about the 2-to-1 on the oil. Nobody remembers. I can't remember myself either. So anyway, there's 2 of them. SCO, is it SCO? Or is SCO the... Yeah, there you go. So SCO this is the short, right? The other one is, I can't remember it. UCD or something, I think. UCD maybe? No, UCO maybe? Yeah, there it is. There's the pro. So here's like a double long, right? Looks the same, except for this one moves twice as fast in terms of percentages. So, oh yeah, Dig and Doug. Dig and Doug are the other ones. So Dig is one way, Doug's the other. So Doug probably is the one you'd be interested in. No, that's the ultra short. You'd be interested in Dig. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of trades right off that oil market. It looks like it flipped around. It's a good trade for probably a couple days until it goes back to the highs. So lots of, folks, there's always trades. It doesn't matter where you look. There's always something. You just got to find where that something is and then try to find a way to exploit it while it offers exploitation. Hey, thanks a lot, Tommy, and thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. Tomorrow, employment number, even if it comes out bad, it's going to have to be horrible probably to hurt the market in a big way. If it comes out a little bit better than expected, I would think the markets rally off of it. So that to me is kind of where it sits. This market has had and continues to have the ability to just shake off the bad news, right, and rally on the good. And until that dynamic changes, you really want to try to lean on the long side most of the time. Have a great night, folks. Take care of yourself. Until next time, I'm LA. This is and was your daily TA wrap. Have yourself a great night, and I'll see you next time. Good night, folks.